to another episode of the Umsolo podcast. This is another Umsolo episode, right? As close as I'm ever going to get to being Han Solo. So you're going to have to give it to me. So today, a little cloudy, a little gross, a little fall outside here in St. Louis. And so wanted to do Q&A. I got some questions from the old Instagrams, and this one's a little different. I asked for just what would you like advice on? I guess I don't have to say it's different because it's a fucking another episode of the podcast and I do what I want and the same, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we have a few sponsors before we dive into these questions today. We have PowerDot. PowerDot is a smart muscle stem I've used for a really long time. It is a great unit and provides really quality recovery and rehab work for post-injury or even just post-training on a regular day basis. It's made a big, big difference for me and a big difference in how I'm able to continue to recover. I'm a little beat up in case people didn't know. I have a fake knee. I had 9 knee surgeries and I'm still pushing pretty hard to try to be my best at the things I give a shit about. And so trying to keep my back and my knee and my hip and everything in line, I kind of run this thing quite a bit. So head over to PowerDot. Check out their smart muscle stem. Use code UMSO, save 20%. And if you don't know what this is like a TINS unit or anything else, except for it's going to be Bluetooth. It's also going to actually trigger and get activated in different muscle fiber types. So slow twitch, fast twitch, and that works on different type of frequencies and waves. Things I don't quite understand full scientifically, but I do know that it makes a big difference for me. If you have an upcoming surgery or finishing or getting ready to or have had a surgery, I can't recommend this tool enough. If you're traveling a lot, it's a great tool. They have a setting for long haul flights, so you can run it. And really, I mean, hell, man, I've used it every single time I fly overseas. I just let it pump on my calves, which kind of helps me able to be ready for the next day. So if you're long driving or any of these type of things, it's really a great unit. Head over to PowerDot, use code UMSO, save yourself 20%, and get one of the coolest things that you can get to make your body feel better. I'd recommend it. Check it out. We also have Eat Right Foods. Eat Right Foods has been awesome for us. They just finished up the Showdown meat. They're the lead sponsor of that. I'm so stoked that we got to be a part of it. Brant killed this edit for it. Really, really stoked on it, man. It just made me fired up to be partnered up with a company like that gives a shit about lifters and gives a shit about us competing and being our best. So head over to Eat Right Foods, use code UMSO, and you can get 10 meals delivered to you for $90. Man, that ain't too bad. It's a little bit of shipping if you don't live on the East Coast, but other than that, it's not real bad. We get some bulk protein. We get their chili. We get their salmon. The fish is incredible. They do a sea bass that's awesome. All these things are great and really work well with providing us options for living with, doing more of a vertical diet style approach. Both of us do. It's been really cool always kind of having food available. And again, the more and more I learn that the more consistent I am, the better things tend to go. So head over to Eat Right Foods, use code UMSO, save yourself money, get good food delivered to your house. I think the code fucking probably gives you 2 or 3 wishes. I mean, maybe try that. Seems awesome. We also have Hybrid Performance Method, back to nutrition. So all the companies that I work with, right, like all of this works pretty synergistically. Like I'm working with Hybrid Performance for my nutrition. They're keeping me on point with macros. They're keeping me fueled when I have questions and trying to figure out what's the best way to go forward with fueling for endurance and the day of and competition and learning better how to hydrate and treat my system. There's a lot of new things that I'm learning, and Hybrid Performance has been there every step of the way with me to try to maximize the progress that I'm making. So not only that, I'm less gross than I used to be, and that's due to help from Hybrid Performance keeping me dialed in. So check out Hybrid Performance Method. I've been following kind of a maintenance calories for the last bit. I'm not adjusting them too much based on what our day entailed or my day entailed as far as caloric use, but I'm definitely just eating consistently and eating the same type of foods every day, and that's yielded progress. So head over to Hybrid Performance Method, check out their nutrition coaching, check out their other 30 programs that they offer for guidance in any type of realm you're looking to train. And man, support rad people. Steffi and Hayden have been awesome. They support strength. They support strength athletes. They have continued to kind of push the limit of what you're able to do, and they've grown a hell of a business. So if you head over to Hybrid Performance Methods, use code UMSO, save yourself some cash, 5% on all your monthly subscriptions from them, and be more awesome, man. They're going to help. Another thing that I've recently picked up and I started working with, I've had for a year, And I'm super pumped now that they're an official sponsor of the podcast, and that's Chili Technology. So they make a unit called the Uller. And this is a device that lays under the side of your bed, and it is connected through a series of tubes. Like, it's pretty easy to set up. Hold on, I'm not fucking this up, making it sound super complicated. But it's connected, and it's allowing water to circulate over your mattress. Kind of the same way like spacesuits are cooled, right? Like with this cooling tubing system that runs through it. So this runs over the top of your bed. It's under your fitted sheet. It's not going to leak or any of those type of things. It's not an issue. Like, we have cats, they're not fucking it up. So really cool. You don't feel the system or the tubes or any of that type of stuff, but it can get so cold at night that I can sleep in a hoodie under a big blanket, which is a big deal as far as like coziness and like how deep I sleep. Another great feature that it has that I didn't think I would love is I've got it set so that starting at about 5 a.m., it slowly starts to bring my temperature up. And man, waking up in that warm bed instead of like dragging your ass out in the cold, like just going from deep sleep to awake, is really, really nice. I never thought that this would be a pretty comfortable alarm clock, but it kind of seems to be. So just checking it out and seeing the different uses. And so for big guys like me, sleep is such a priority. Even bigger guys, right? Like, no matter what you're doing, sleep is such a different priority that you got to be able to recover to train more. And so not only that, like brain function, memory, everything, sleep's the biggest one. Like, if you're fucking up your sleep, stop taking any of the other stuff you're taking. And if you can affect that more than anything, that's going to be the biggest performance enhancing thing that you can really change is through sleep. So one of these units is going to change things for you, especially being a big guy that can sleep cold, which we need to help with growth hormone release, testosterone production, all the other really great things that come as a side effect of deep sleep. So head over to Chili Technology, use code UMSO, save yourself some money. We also, right now at thehate.com, we're going to give away one of these units this month. So every single order this month has a chance to get a free Uller, which is about $700. For the rest of you, you can just go buy one, use this code UMSO and save some cash on it. Also, you can set it to warm, right? So you can set the side of your bed to whatever temperature you want. So Bonnie sleeps at a different temperature than me. Big surprise. All right, we have two last, and that's Habit Coffee, my company. Thank you guys for continuing to support Habit. Order some coffee, use code UMSO, get subscriptions in, and let's keep making the raddest coffee out there. I'm working right now on some K-Cups. I hope that's something that will be a benefit. We also have Hate Brand Goods, and this week we are running the deal. That's right, this week. You're listening to it right now. It's working. This is the week of, fucking month is it? October 19th. It's that week. That's what time it is. This will go up on Tuesday, the 20th, and every single order this week is going to get a free shaker cup. Any orders over $150, we're going to throw in a free gem flag. So that's going to end Saturday at midnight, the 26th. That seems right. I'm going to go with that. Don't fact check me. Use code UMSO at Habit and at thehate.com and save yourself some money, man. All right. We got questions, man, to answer. I threw it out last night, and it was a pretty good mix of questions. I'm going to go through and kind of pick the ones that seem to have the most what do you want to call it? Interest. That's the word. Have the most interest in what I can actually answer and be useful for, because, well, the biggest thing is, honestly, I'm not that smart. So here we go. Let's do some Q&As. Yavita123, biggest lesson learned starting your own business. Well, that kind of goes to like which time. Biggest lesson learned. Let's just go back. Biggest lesson learned to open the bike shop is that just because you want it to happen doesn't mean it's going to work. Just because you get the cards put in place and you open the store, the idea of build it and they will come. Nope. That is a fallacy. That is not how that has worked out for me in the past. So that's one of those things I learned from that. Like, unless you're going to give it full commitment, it's not going to work. And while I thought I was giving it full commitment, I was 22 and I didn't. I was an idiot. So starting Hate Brand, what I learned there is I really learned how to scale things. And I started from a place that allowed me to scale things fully so that no matter what size my business grew in, I was already in a setup that could allow infinite growth, if you will. I'm sure at some point there would be a problem that I'd need to switch things up, but that's been a big one for me, is that my day-to-day time running the business is the same no matter how many sales we're doing. And that's because I have used a fulfillment center and printing and shipping, and I'm not trying to handle all that myself. That's been the biggest. What would have happened is I would have handled it myself until I eventually needed to rent a warehouse and then hire staff. And then those things really become something, or a warehouse manager, right, is what the next step would be. Luckily, I found a company that was already doing all those things, so they're handling a lot of that. Now, there is a difference in price, but to me, it seems like such a wash because these are now people I'm paying insurance and all this rest for, instead of the other guy, Phil, who handles those type of things, and he covers that because they do this for a bunch of companies. So that's what I've learned. I've learned how to delegate, and I've learned where my weaknesses are. Josh Kolosky, how do you stay motivated and driven to succeed when things get difficult? Fuck, man, they're always difficult. Like that's life, right? Like it's never fucking easy going. You just get better at handling bullshit. Then, I mean, the further you kind of push in, right, and the more you're trying to accomplish, the bigger the headaches are, the bigger the hassle, the bigger the risk, the bigger all those type of things. You know, even staying motivated to train, right? Like with injuries and knee surgery and all that, what I ended up doing was I leaned into my diet because it was something that I could fully control and it wasn't dependent on anything else. Like I'm going to eat that day, so I'm going to eat the right foods. That was that kind of simple, right? And so I just can stick with it. That's the big one. It's just not fucking quitting. And it's being consistent 95% of the time. It's just doing it and doing the right thing and making it to the next decision. You know, life throws bullshit at you too. And a lot of that, man, is trying to figure out small things you can do to build positive momentum to keep going forward. Bad times are going to come. Challenges are going to come, but you can't let those compound in a way that just continue to kick your ass. Christopher Heckerbo. Enjoying one of these CBD joints from Oregon Originals. These guys are going to be on sale relatively soon. They currently have this lovely vape pen up for those watching and who are interested. Oregon Originals, the vape pen's really good. They're going to have a 3-pack deal coming soon as well, but head over to Oregon Originals, check those guys out. I'm really stoked to work with some dudes that, well, they're the farmers. Like they grow the plants. I feel that way about my food. I feel that way about everything. I like knowing where shit came from. And so, especially if I'm going to consume it, it's one thing to wear things. It's another thing that if I want to put it in my body so that my chemical makeup gets affected by it, right? Like the way I want food to change my body, or I want this medicine, CBD, to change my body. The better the quality of it, plus the better other shit that I'm putting in my system so that it can work better, the better. Go to Umsolo, I'll save you some cash on CBD. Check it out, Oregon Originals. Christopher Kerbo. Okay. Ever hired family? No, I haven't. I don't think it's a problem depending on who the family member you hire, right? If they're not mature enough to handle the job that you want to hire them for, and you're hiring them just because they're family instead of they have the skills to actually help, then I can see that being a big issue. But if you're hiring, you know, I think about that a lot. I think that if some point hate got to a level that I could really use a COO, I think my brother would be very, very good at that position. Now, whether or not he would ever want to work for me or how that would work out, I don't know. But I think he would be good at it, and I think he's someone I could talk to and trust. He's someone that I feel the ability to be honest with. I think he's someone that is mature enough to handle what he did right, what he didn't do wrong. I don't think he would have any issue with working for me. I think I really treat people like we're working together to accomplish a goal. Now, at the end of the day, I'm the one with the say so of whether we continue to work together. But I mean, they can always leave too. I guess that's not true. I think honesty has to go into it, right? And I think you have to figure out how to separate those two things to some extent. But there's another part, like, and I'll get to that with some balance questions that are a little bit later in this, but have I ever hired family? I haven't. And I think it would be really tricky who I would hire and what for. Is Dela DeZoyer Dusty Redleg? Is Dela Destroyer designed to be done without machines? Yes, it is mostly a free weight barbell movement setup and program, and you can scale everything. And that's one of the things that we've worked with people on, is trying to figure out how you can kind of infinitely scale workouts, even if it's like, oh, fuck, I don't have that equipment or that machine. But that's not the big picture of how programming works. It's still consistent. It's still consistency, right? Like, you're challenging the system enough that it's going to have to create more muscle fibers to adapt, right? That's how it heals. That's how you get stronger. And so focusing on the fact that it said we need to do dumbbells instead of solid bar bench doesn't fucking matter. It's effort and challenging. This is simply a guide map. If you look at it that way. Now, the programming works fucking phenomenally, but right now is a weird time with what you're restricted to. And I'm not a guy that believes that if you don't have, on this set, it said we had to use green bands, and well, I didn't have a green band. That means today's workout's not going to work. Like, that's not how anything fucking works. That's not how any of this goes. So just get in there and think more effort if you're concerned about whether or not you have the machines. And so hammer yourself and do something that triggers the same muscle groups, and you'll be fine. Nuri McFlurry just broke up with a boyfriend of 4 years. Feel a bit lost, lonely, scared. Yeah, I bet you do, man. 4 years is a long time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the loss of that relationship. I don't know the details of it or who or what or whys. But ending a long-term relationship sucks. It's a really, really hard thing to do. When my marriage ended, that's a 13-year. I worked really, really hard to maintain a relationship there, to not have that person hate me. That was a big one for me, because I still care for and love and value my ex-wife. And I want her to be a part of my life, and I would love to be part of hers. So it's tough. It's a tough balance. And I know that you feel lonely and you feel scared. This is also a time to kind of look inward at you and realize maybe what shortcomings you had in that relationship, right? Even if it's not communicating properly when you wanted to, not being honest, not sharing vulnerability, not sharing those type of things, and deciding that going forward into the next relationship, we won't repeat those mistakes. It's tough. Everything you're feeling is normal. Everything you're dealing with is normal. What I recommend is you can still have, and look, I don't know your partner, but after 4 years, if it didn't end horribly, I don't know. If this was someone that you felt was going to be an asset to your life, that you possibly felt long-term, maybe they can still be, or you can be for each other without needing to be your primary relationship, right? I think there's something adult in just kind of realizing that what we both wanted from this has run its course. And if we're going to continue the same way, there's too much compromise. And so why don't we go our separate ways, but we can still be assets to each other's life as we know each other, we love each other, we trust each other. But that's what I tried to go for, man. It's a fucking tough one. It's a tough one. I'm sorry. Samarani. Yeah, that works. Love your vibe, bro. What's your favorite type of cycling, road, gravel, or mountain, and why? Whew. So mountain biking is overall the most fun factor, but there's also the higher risk of getting fucked up, which I don't ride anything that I'm that freaked out by a wrist too. Road biking's fun too, but I don't like cars. I like the tech in road biking. I like the gear. I like the bikes. It's probably more than I like actually riding them. And gravel, I really do like. I do like it. I do like the adventure of it because I like the distance and speed that we can cover road biking, which is kind of what gravel's doing, but more adventurous and covering more ground. Whereas like a mountain biking 10-mile loop, you don't, there's good ones. There's some really rad stuff. I would put road last, but road's so easy to do for training. Like it's so easy to do to get miles in and get your lungs. And I can just go from the house. Whereas I could do that on my mountain bike, but it's not mountain biking, right? So I have a better tool for that job than using that bike. Yeah, it's I like cycling, man. I like bikes. I like being on top of them. I like the feeling of self-propelled motion. Running is never going to be something I'm very good at, even though I'm going to force myself to do more of it. But I don't move very fast, and I'm not going to be very good at it. So, I mean, cycling is kind of the next big bet of like how I can move at a certain speed and cover ground. This is road biking or cycling is what I wish running felt like. So I love cycling, and those are the reasons I like all three. Hometown Highlander. How do you define the difference between quitting and moving on to the next thing? Ooh, okay. Interesting question. Quitting and moving on to the next thing. So quitting for me is falling short of your goal. Quitting is deciding at a roadblock or a hurdle that the left or like you can find a path forward that requires work and suffering and sacrifice and choosing not to do it. That's quitting. That's abandoning. That's saying, oh, it's too hard. I don't want any more of that. Moving on to the next thing is realize that doing whatever that thing you did, scratch the itch. So like I moved on from Highland Games. Now I was forced to quit. So one of these would be like the actual physical side of never doing that thing again is quitting. Moving on is emotional. Moving on is wrapping your head around it being done and being okay with it and coming to peace with the idea that it served its purpose. I gave everything I had to that, and now it's time to find something else. That's the difference in moving on. Not having that bitterness or unfulfilled side. I think if you walk away from something like that, and there's a lot of variables there, whether that's you've overshot expectations or you've built things up more than they wanted to be. And so it's again, one's more the emotional side and the other one is the actual physical side to me of stopping. That's how I would answer that. McLeod 209, what to do when your relationship has fizzled out, but it hasn't for her. It's more honesty, man. Honesty in conversations. I mean, this is someone you love that much that you share part of your life with. They deserve your honest opinion. They deserve to be treated with that respect too. You're not fucking saving them. You're just biding your time, man. It's pull the Band-Aid off and it's start making progress. Sucks, man. I'm sorry. This is gonna be the type of podcast, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that's the situation you're in. But it's honesty. It's explaining those things and being vulnerable to them and owning that this is you. And as cliche as it is, it's you, not me. It's me, not you. That's true. Things come to an end. And instead of treating that end like a failure, treating it like it's run its course. It was time to move on for both of us. There's better things out there for both of us now than each other. There are different resources we require. There's different needs we required. And being honest with each other enough to say that, look, I don't meet those things for you anymore. And you don't meet those things for me anymore. And I got to go. That's, it really depends on what the big values for you in your life are. It sucks, but you can't drag someone with you. It's not how it works. They won't be fulfilled. That's not what they wanted to do with their life. It's not, and if it's just simply it's not there for you, then just be honest. There's really hard conversations that come from the end of relationships. But as long as you know at the point that you're going to have that conversation, that this is the decision that you need to make for you, and you don't backtrack on it and start handling things from that point forward with love and not fear and not being right, but honesty and love for the other person to help walk them through the rough part that you've already worked through in your head. Like I said, be an asset. That's how you go about it and show them that you're not a piece of shit. Just sucks, man. I'm sorry. You owe it to them. If nothing else, you owe someone who spent any part of their life with you as a confidant or a relationship or a partner, you owe them the honesty. Inked Redhead, trying like hell to move to Montana. Been a battle to find a job before I move. Any advice? I would continue to look for a job. Having income before you move is super cool. Unless you can figure out a way to pay your own bills. And I'm not here. I don't know anything about you, so I'm not trying to tell you what business to start. But yeah, having an income in a place that you have an idea of how much money you're going to make, what you can spend to find to live there, what cost of living is, all those are things you should fucking know before you go. And have a job. It's a weird time. I think right now would be a weird time to move states, but also fuck it. I also believe in just kind of jumping in and figuring it out, as long as I think the risks are kind of mitigated. Like, I'm not going to go up there. I'm not making a move with the opportunity that the failure rate of that move is going to be very high. That's going to have to be a pretty low percentage for me. Caleb, ever try outbox breathing? Need to chill out, can't have THC. So I don't know what outbox breathing is, if that's a form of breath work or any of that type of stuff, but I've done quite a bit of breath work. There's holotropic breathing, there's the Wim Hof stuff. Any of these things have been really, really beneficial. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing them. I try to get breath work done in the sauna whenever I'm in there, just to treat that as kind of a meditative time. But it works, man. If you can add that into your daily practice, it does make, Jesus, come on, hiccups. It does make a considerable difference. Look into the Wim Hof stuff. Look into apnea breathing. There's an app for that. Look into any type of breath work app. I think is just something that's going to be guided, right? A big part of what this breath work does is it changes your normal breathing pattern. So like the apnea stuff is going to be like a 4-second inhale, a 6-second hold, and a 8-second exhale. Just give you an idea. And because that is such an unnatural breathing pattern, like you really have to focus on it to do it. And at some point you'll zone, and it's really nice. It can also help with down regulation. So that would be the one I would check out, man. Check out the apnea breathing, apnea sleep. I think something like that on iTunes App Store. I'm sorry you can't have THC. It's better. Kurt Robbins, but both together, super fucking cool. Are you following a structured watt-based program for biking or just riding to a mileage goal? Right now, it's just a mileage goal, Kurt. Basically, as long as I'm hitting 100 miles a week, I'm pretty happy with how things feel. My body seems to be moving pretty good. And then I'll slowly start adding that up. Now, I will start throwing in some more wattage-based workouts pretty soon. Probably toward the end of the year, I'll start being able to train that way a little bit more to kind of get some ideas. So I've kind of got some baselines right now. So because I know that's coming, I'm keeping an eye on mileage or on wattage to kind of have an idea. But I only have one bike that gives me wattage while I'm riding outside, and that's the road bike. So yeah, and then my assault bike, or not assault bike, but my spin bike setup that I've got with Zwift, so on the trainer. So yeah, it's fun playing with for sure, and I like having targets that make it easier to chase things down, right? Like you need a port to point the boat at for good navigation. So I will be doing more of those, Kurt. But for right now, it's just mileage. Kielbasa Taco. How to get your significant other to understand your need to lift heavy shit. So I don't have an answer for that. It is one of those type of things that is in my life that's not really a compromise. This is a thing that I need to do for me, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. I don't need you to support. So that's another side. Are you trying to get them to support your need to lift heavy shit, or just allow you to lift heavy shit? Because these are very different things. If what you want from your partner is to be supportive and be a cheerleader for hobbies that you love, that's not totally fair. I think at best, a lot of times you can just ask them to not be in the way of you doing this thing that you need to do. They don't have to understand. They don't have to care about it. They don't need to do any of that, other than all they need to understand is they love you, and this seems to make you a better person. If it doesn't make you a better person, then that's some shit that you need to address. If it's something you obsess over that you don't know how to balance, that you don't know how to let go of, if you have a bad day training or any of these other type of things, then no, I wouldn't want to fucking deal with you either. So maybe some of the questions are why your partner doesn't understand is because you're fucking bad at explaining it. Like that's a problem too. Like I'm a type of guy that believes maybe the issue is more focused me and less on my partner. So maybe there's a better way I can explain it. There's a better way I can say things, even to the point of just explaining that, hey, this type of training is something I need to be happy, to be functional, to clear my head, to deal with stress. So I'm going to do these things. I'm not asking you for permission, but if you're fucking up responsibilities because of this, if you're being a shit partner because of this, if everything in your life revolves around your heavy lifting, then they don't have to give a fuck, man. That makes you not able to do your thing well. If it's just simply you go to the gym, get your job done, and you come home and that training is for you, I don't understand why they're standing in their way. And if they are standing in your way of something simple like that, I would try to find a new fucking partner. That wouldn't work for me. So Juice Box Brendan, anxiety and depression. That's its own thing, and that's not a question. Those are just two things you want advice on. It's figure out in your life what creates less of both of those things and lean more toward that, or try to work into figuring out what's the actual root cause of these things so that you can pull it out by the roots. That's therapy, man. That's finding people who can talk to you. That's finding people that can direct you through things. That's what I would recommend, is figuring out your why you feel the way you do. That's far more for professionals, man. I've dealt with anxiety, but I haven't dealt with depression. And what's worked for me has been a mixture of owning a lot of my own bullshit, accepting a lot of my own bullshit, and medicate quite a bit with cannabis, so that helps. Or CBD also works really good. But also, so with, like, if you're having anxiety because your shit's not together, my recommendation is to listen to it and get your shit together. If you're having panic attacks over nothing, then I would start working with a professional. Sorry, I don't have anything better for that. It would probably help with your anxiety and depression. If you got some new cool shit from Mark Bell's Slingshot, you could use code UMSO15, save 15%, and get yourself a new belt, wraps. Those things make me feel better. My suggestion is shop and buy things. That's what I would recommend to help. Mark Bell Slingshot, use code UMSO and UMSO15 to fix anxiety and depression by buying new things. There you go. There's a killer ad. I'm sure people will be proud of that. Michael DeBells, best lesson from your sales job on building relationships with people. Easy one, man. So the best thing you can do in building relationships is these simple words. How can I help? That's it. That's how you go into every relationship. How can I help? How do I make things better? How do I provide value? How do I continue to give to you so that you want to return and give back into me, right? Like that's the point of the relationship. I can't show up and just take. And in fact, when you're trying to build relationships with people, you should stay far more on the give side of things than ever get. And that's why you have to be careful with who you pick to have relationships with, because if you're going to be with people who just take from you, fuck them. They don't need to be around. Now, during a sales job, you build relationships with people just because, well, you have to. But in life, it still works the same way. You just build relationships with people you like, which is great. That would be the big one, is trying to figure out how can you help? How do you provide value? And that's how you figure out. And then on the backside of that, like knowing how you provide value and knowing how you can help and knowing what you're good at and not good at. That's been one. Pat Schaefer, sounds like a guy should run a beer company. Creating the work-life balance. I don't know, man. I don't really have one. Everything I do kind of revolves around my job. And my job somehow has become my life. So there isn't. There's no fucking life-work balance. I built a job that I love that is very similar to the lifestyle I want to live and the clothes I want to wear and those type of things. So there isn't any for me. It's all the same. And that's what I wanted to create. And that's my favorite idea of how to live my life. The tricky part of that is when my direction wants to change, doesn't necessarily mean the audience also wants to. And you got to accept that too as part of it. But you do what's more important to you. And one of the things that's most important for me is kind of this freedom, right? So I want to do whatever I want to do. That's the gist of it. And the life-work balance, like all the things that are on my plate today that have me busy, I fucking chose all these. Like no boss called me and said, you got to go do this or do that, or you're responsible for this. Like, no, man, these are my decisions to run my business, to invest back into me. So I don't know. I don't have balance. I mean, once I'm done working for the day and I realize like my point of diminishing returns, like I'm not going to just sit there and grind, like, but that takes time to develop. You develop, when are you most optimal? Dylan Dittmer. How do you deal with the munchies? Fight the urge to eat an entire cake. I don't deal with it well. One of the things I do is I don't have a ton of food in my house, especially shit food. The problem with that is I live in a world where I can order cookies and have them delivered like in 20 minutes. And a lot of times I do, but I try to make those days. I try to pay up front for that. So like a day that I'm going to order cookies would have been like Saturday, right? Saturday, I did 60 miles on the bike. That's probably an extra 5,200 calories that I burned that day. And like, yo, I can eat some fucking cookies. I did that work first. I didn't eat cookies and then figure out I'm going to go fucking do something big tomorrow. That's a shit way to go. You only get to spend what you put deposits in. So I took a bunch of shit out of the account on that long ride, and I need to refill that with cookies. Cookies are good. That's how I mean, and I don't do a great job. I don't do a great job finding the munchies. Another thing I've done is because I do want sweet stuff, like I switched to like a heavy whipping cream ready whip, not a ton of calories. You can freeze it or you can just use the spray, and then I eat fruit. I eat fruit for sweet things. Saddest thing ever. Cookies and cakes are way better. But they make me gross, and I don't like that. I dislike being gross more than I like the taste of cookies and cakes when I'm high. So that's the decision we go with. Paul Francis 7. I've hit all my life, relationship, and financial goals. How do you figure out what's next? What makes you happy, Paul? What thing do you love? Lean into that. Find some hobbies. Figure out things that make you better. Either that or fucking punch out. I don't know, man. If you've hit all your goals, do you like the path that you're on? And is it going to be, this is the ceiling of it? Like, if it's the ceiling and this is as good as it's going to get, make a decision whether or not that's okay. And then go forward from there. But for me, man, I don't have any lack of finding a pursuit, whether it's building a vehicle or travel or start a second fucking business or any of these other type of things. I have enough varied interests that I don't have a problem with getting bored or I've hit all my goals. Like, that's never gonna fucking happen. I suggest build more goals. Apparently you're someone who can accomplish goals, so keep fucking accomplishing goals, man. Crypto Bates, how can someone find their passion? No fucking clue. How do you find your passion? No one can tell you how to figure out what you give a shit about. Honestly, it's just something I don't understand, and I don't know if that makes me different, but how do you find their passion or their purpose? Like, purpose and passion are different. Like, my purpose isn't to get stronger. I don't know what my purpose is. My purpose is to live a fucking pretty good life, provide value, and don't fucking hurt people. Like, that's my purpose. I want to help more than I hurt. And I want to provide value with my life, as well as I'd like to do a lot of kick-ass shit. Just so happens that I've been able to kind of build around those ideas in ways that are also things I like. I mean, I'm not passionate for running a business, but I'm passionate for growth, and I'm passionate for the challenge that the business provides, right? Like, I'm not a business guy. Like, I'm not stoked on numbers. And if I was, I would have started something more financially viable than a fucking t-shirt company. But yeah, finding your passion, dude. I guess I don't know how old you are, Crypto Bates, or any of those type of things, but I mean, look, I found cycling. I thought that was my passion. I opened a bike shop and it was a fucking terrible idea. Then I spent 10 years working in a field I didn't give a shit about. And I figured out my passion was, I like communicating. I like building relationships. I like doing all those type of things. I realized I'm a good salesman. And so then I figured out, my passion into strength turned into what it did with the Highland Games and competing. And as that continued to grow, like it just kept giving me flags of signs to pay attention to. So if you don't know, my recommendation is keep trying things, try new things. Anything that sparks a fucking interest, give it a go and figure out if it's something you really give a shit about or not, or obsess over. I'm not a general, like, everything's okay. It's either I really don't give a shit or I'm fully fucking in. So I like obsession. I can't turn away from it. So obsession's a big part. John Jr., how did I start my company? I answered that. Check out the business podcast from a week ago. Dan Simmer, are you growing now, dude? Ain't talking about your body either. Yeah, a lot of growth. I'm reading a lot of new things that kind of challenge the way I feel about stuff. I am working on relationships. I'm working on being a better partner for my chick. I'm working on being a better version of me. I'm working on getting out of pain. Yeah, I'm working on getting better at cycling. I'm working on bettering my business. I'm working on bettering our opportunities. So yeah, ain't no lack of that going on. In fact, thanks. I'm fired up because there's a ton of cool shit going on that I just listed. Mickey Spell, advice on someone looking to start powerlifting from scratch, women slightly overweight. Just start, man. Just start going to the gym, start training. If you're already there and you're serious about wanting to be a competitive powerlifter, then find a coach. Look, check with Bonnie. Look at Bonshro Go. There's great programming there for powerlifting. Hybrid offers some great stuff as a start. Figure out where in your area there's a powerlifting group or gym and be part of that community. Just invest back into it. That would be my way to start. Luke Bright, STC. After you had knee surgery, any exercises you figured out help regain stabilization? TKEs have always been pretty solid, as well as just hamstring and quad stuff. I mean, that's it, right? Like, the stabilizing things in your knee are the big fucking muscles attached to it, as long as your tendons are straight. So being able to make sure that you're in control of your quad, hamstring, calf, and your patella tendons tracking correctly, then those things are pretty good. So TKEs, some step ups, some tempo stuff, those type of things really do make a pretty good difference. But it's because you're building the muscles that control your legs stronger. Not there's no magic knee things you're fucking making better at stabilization. Everyone wants to pretend there's these tiny little muscles. There's fucking not. General advice is starting your own business and really taking leaps to change your life. Mickey Spell again. One of those things is finding out what the fuck you want to do. Like for me, it's always been pretty a natural progression. Like I got into cycling, I got into bikes. I wanted to take a shot at open a bike shop. I thought I had seen other people do it. And at 22-year-old me thought I could fucking do better than that. I was incorrect. There needs to be a lot of why to figure out. There's why you're doing this. How do you provide a value? What makes it different? What's going to make it viable? What's going to make it like, what value are you providing so that people are going to show up and give you money? Like that's a key thing to understand before you would start a business. Taking leaps to change your life. My suggestion there is just fucking go, man. Because I mean, the risk for me is always is getting to the end of my time in my life and wondering what if, why didn't I do this? Why I should have done that? Because like whether I try it or I don't, and I say success or I still fail, both of those things still end with me dying someday and then making an inventory of all the shit I did, good or bad. And, kind of going through my life, I imagine I'll have some real reflective moments as I've had thus far. So I've never regretted trying things. I think that's a safe way to say that. I've never regretted trying things. But I always weigh the risk before I try them. I don't just dive in blindly and go for it. It's making enough experiences in your life to be able to kind of filter out good and bad and decide, oh, this is a good fucking plan. Caleb from Cabin John. What digital marketing skill would you develop if you could choose only one? I would develop video editing. That's what I would like to do. That's what I'm kind of passionate about. I wish I could get much better at it, but it seems, again, that I have found that there are people truly passionate about only that, and they don't have to do all the other things during the day that I also like to do. And so I will develop my skill with that by figuring out how to manage people who create those things better. Email marketing is a thing you can definitely figure out. I just pay someone. I pay people who are good at it so that I don't ever have to think about it, because there's things that I can't pay them to do for my business. And so I stay focused on the things that Matt Vincent has to fucking do. Stuff you can't pay someone else for, the concepts, the ideas, the message, the brand, the podcast. Like I can't pay someone else to do these. So these are where I stay focused, that I see the most return from my time invested. The Bro Ventures. What's up, man? You ask a bunch of questions too. Thank you. Do you have any reset activity getting out of a funk? Yo, totally do. So if I found out, like if I'm figuring out that like, fuck man, today's just one of those days that I'm just a few seconds behind the universe, that like I'm spilling a drink, I'm dropping this, I'm fucking this up. And that leads to 3 more things. Like it seems like small problems quickly compound, right? They're like, oh man, I'm going to do something dumb today that I haven't decided to do, which is, one of the locks on one of my doors is tricky, right? Is sticky. So I'm going to dive into that and fix it. And then I realized like that's 4 trips to Home Depot because I fucked something up and it's something else and I was unprepared. Like that's something that will quickly provide a funk for me, or like I realized I forgot a thing or whatever. So for me, getting out of that funk is I stop fucking whatever that thing up is. And I pick some task that I know that I can't fuck up. Whether that's go do 10 minutes of cardio, go on a 10-minute walk. I cannot fuck up a 10-minute walk. Take some time to reset, start getting some positive momentum going again. Take a walk, eat good food, accomplish the task on your list for the day that you know you can do. Like I need to send an email. I need to do this. Like these are things I can't fuck up. So I do those things and then start building that positive momentum again before I attack the big problem. That's how I get out of a funk, is I start chalking up some wins, man. Even small ones. I don't care what they are. They can be clean your fucking room. A small win. Advice for Gallon BK. In almost a year and being petrified of having people see all your fat move all over. Same thing with your other question about being embarrassed to work out for the first time. You've been in over a year, petrified of seeing people move your fat all over. So, really quick experiment for people who have insecurity about things like that. I can't tell you a single thing that a person wore at the gym the last time I was at the gym. Fuck, I don't remember what I wore. In fact, I barely remember who was there. So remember that people don't give a shit. People are concerned with their own bullshit the way that you're concerned that everyone's looking at you. No one is. No one fucking cares. The fact that you're in the gym and you're trying, you're doing great. Keep doing it. Fuck anyone else who doesn't think so. Fuck anyone else who wants to judge you. Fuck them. Who gives a shit what they think? There's no point in being embarrassed about it. This is your fucking body. This is what you got. Own it. Go with it. Don't be disgusted by it. Don't be fucking proud of it. It is what it is. It's a machine that wants to adapt to whatever stimulus you've given it. And if you've gotten really fucking fat, well, you gave it the wrong stimulus for a really long time. So now it's time to right that decision and realize the mistake that you've made and how to correct it. That's all it is. The fuck anyone else who's in there who thinks any differently. They're incorrect. They have their own bullshit. I promise you, they are not fucking concerned with you. So do your thing. Put some fucking headphones on. Get better. Pass them up. Fuck them. Anyone who does sit there and judge that, even more reason who gives a shit about their opinion. Like, don't take fucking criticism from people you wouldn't ask for advice. They can all go fuck themselves. Rigalicious. What do I do? College is stressful. My job is awful, and I found out my girlfriend cheated. Sick. I would focus on the ones that matter. Why do you have a job that sucks? Well, part of that is, if I'm guessing, it's because you're in college and you're young, and so you don't get to have cool jobs yet because, well, you're a fucking kid and you're not trustworthy. That's just how that goes. Your girlfriend cheated on you? Guess what? She's also probably your age and not that trustworthy because her brain doesn't fucking work yet because she's in college. I'm sorry she cheated on you. Maybe give her some fucking slack of just not knowing what she's doing with her life. I'm not saying you need to fucking hang out with her, but she's as equally dumb and fucked up as you are. So, let it go. College is stressful. Yeah, it is. Is college necessary for you to get where you want to go job-wise? If it is, continue fucking doing it, because sometimes you just have to grind through the hard things to get to the reward. It doesn't always have to be fun and fucking great, man. Like, I love my life, but I had plenty of years where I just did bullshit to get to where I'm going. A lot of stuff's like planting a tree, right? Like, so what's the two best ways to plant a tree? One would be 20 years ago, and then the next one's now. And so instead of you realizing a bunch of this shit 10 years from now, what college and life and what you should have thought, start working on those things now and realize that this is a means to an end. It's going to get you where you're going, and you're going to sit there and grind and do it. Try to learn as much as you can along the way about how to deal with people and how to work as efficiently in that system as you can to get the desired outcome that you want. How do you use that system to better you instead of that system using you? That would be how I would try to straighten things out. And again, if your girlfriend's just shitty, fuck her good, man. She did you a favor. You don't have to waste any more time on that person. You found out that's a bad road way early on. Cool. Move on. Thank you. You're not someone I have to care about. If there is any room for empathy to understand, then I would say try to go that way mentally, man. It's a tough one, but it's going to be better in the long run. Your job's awful. Either quit it or find a new one, or start trying to figure out what it is you want to do. Chris Jones, 912. How hard was it for you to move to a new state? It's tricky. I still have things I'm still working on. Almost a year and a half of being here. They're still different, like driver's license and vehicle registration. And I mean, like, why should any of that be harder than buying a house? Like, I bought a fucking house. Now I got to register and vehicles and those type of things all super suck on my dick. Moving to another state wasn't too bad. It's just packing up and going, man. And it was very much time for me to go when it was time to go. So that made that easy too. Now, when Bonnie and I at some point in the future decide to move again, I don't know. That's going to be tricky because we're going to have a bunch of shit. Honestly, it's like another reason to bust ass and make more money is so whenever I decide to move, I can pay someone to do a bunch of it. That's another goal. Like, why do things well? I'll mark that as less of a hassle moving will be. Potato lifts. Potato who lifts. Any advice on taking the next step moving in with a partner? It's an interesting one. Learning to live with people, man. This is so Bonnie is the third, I guess, partner within a relationship I've lived with. I lived with a lot of roommates and stuff like that, but she's the third girl. The first one did not go well. Was in college and she wasn't great. I also at that point was an idiot. So big shock. A lot of the reasons I had stress and struggle with that relationship were because I didn't listen to obvious red flags of me getting out of that relationship when I should have. So my fault. I can't change her, but I can change how I react to it. And man, I just dealt with more than I should have. The second time I lived with a partner would have been my ex-wife, and it was great. We lived together 13 years. And then now with Bonnie, we've been almost 2 and or a year and a half, and it's great as well. Now there's differences in each person I've lived with, and everyone has their own peculiarities and tendencies. A big one for me is realizing when I'm annoyed, because it happens a lot because you're living with a person. This is my question. Is this thing a me problem or a you problem? And say if what I want to do is harp on and correct and fucking nag to have my partner change everything they do so that it matches what I find best, right? Like the way the dishwasher's loaded, the way we fold clothes, the way things go in the drawer, any of these little things that are everybody's kind of individual stuff. Like if you're going to harp on all that stuff a ton, those are you problems and your peculiarities. If they're doing things their way that works for them and it doesn't impact you, shut the fuck up. Let them do them. Don't force them to conform to your happiness in your life and your expectations to manage annoyance. Like, and deal with that internally and say, that's the thing. I don't really have to, like, whether they do it different than me or not, I don't have to care. That's fine. We can do things differently. We can, yeah. The other thing is, like, be confident enough to give each other space. Like, if the other person just needs to be in another room for a while to read or chill out or work or do any of that, like, be okay with leaving, getting the fuck out of their way for a while. Taking time as individuals is still important, even though that you're going to be together. So start figuring that out too, that this added extra time is great and it's great for building a relationship and a life, but now you're partners in running a business that is your home, or apartment or anything. And so you have to do some things together and figure out how to do things, like figure out what expectations are. And if someone's not matching expectations, are those expectations realistic? And B, did you ever explain it? People don't read fucking minds, so don't ever think they can. Hope those things help. P. Evans, 3. Biggest hurdle you've ever had in your life besides your knee would have been divorce. That was the biggest one. I've talked about it quite a bit. Fucking was pretty rough. I don't prefer not do that again. It was, yeah. And P. Evans 3 again, what advice would you give 25-year-old you? So I find that question always really tricky. In fact, I'll name the podcast that. So I find that one really tricky. Advice for 25-year-old me, right? Because I do believe that if I have the ability to time travel, talk to that guy and tell him things and he makes changes, I don't know that I end up where I am. And I don't know that those changes make me just further or better at what I'm doing than where I currently am. I like where I am. And since I can't time travel, that's pretty convenient. 25-year-old me, let's just go regarding sports. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, man. Enjoy the fuck out of it. Do exactly what you're doing. Put a little bit less stress on it. Keep on. The other thing I would say is I would try to fix his nutritional habits. That's probably my biggest weak link I can look back at on the lifting career that I've had would be nutrition. So I could fix that. Other than that, man, like without it affecting too much of the future, like if I know that it doesn't affect the future, probably could have skipped the bike shop stuff, but then I don't know what other mistakes I make, right? Like I don't know what ripples that leaves for me to deal with. If I'm just playing fantasy realm of where I have regrets or mistakes, then opening the bike shop wasn't a smart idea. I should have just went to find a job, but I don't know that I would have ever, at least what I got from opening the bike shop and it failing was I realized I could do that from scratch, I could have an idea and I could make it into a thing. It's not easy, but it's possible. And just because I know that it's possible, it opens up so many doors. Like I just don't look at anything as impossible anymore. Like there's always a way. So that would be part of the advice that I would give him is that everything's possible and there isn't any guaranteed success. So you got to just keep fucking hammering, man, and be smart and learn how to fail and learn how to fail smaller and learn how to fail in a way that you can recover from easier. It is Monday morning and Trucks is starting to get it. And that is the last question of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys like these solo episodes. Please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you think. Please share the podcast with your friends. I hope the information is great. Follow us at Umso Podcast on Instagram and everywhere else. Check out our sponsors. We have Power.Eat Right Foods hybrid performance method. We have Chili Technology with their Uller. We also have a giveaway going. Hate Brand Goods, Habit Coffee, Slingshot. Code UMSO saves you money everywhere, except Slingshot. UMSO 15. Change your life. It can cure anxiety and depression, they say. I wouldn't say that, but some people have said it. I've heard the whispers in the glen, if you will. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Spread hate. Always party.